Welcome back. News from the High Court sitting in East London now. Aluta Pasile has pleaded guilty to the murder of Nosicelo Mtebeni. Mtebeni was killed and her body dismembered and parts of it placed in a suitcase back in August this year. Parts of her body were discovered in 25-year-old Pasile's possession. eNCA's Ayesha Ismail joins us now for an update from court. So in a way, this saves us the trouble, Ayesha, of having to go through an entire trial when evidence had been stacking up against Aluta Pasile. But, you know, there's no good story out of this whole situation because Nosicelo Mtebeni is still dead, despite, you know, perhaps, I don't know, not that I would think it's based on a realization that what he did was wrong. It may be just, you know, a matter of practicality in terms of legal advice, but that came a bit too late for Nosicelo Mtebeni.
That is indeed so. What happened was that at the very beginning, when Aluta Pasile was arrested, he did make a confession, and we heard earlier on during the court case that he had made this confession. We heard from the National Prosecuting Authority that he had detailed in that confession exactly how he had killed his girlfriend, Nosicelo Mtebeni. Now, today in court, when the trial started, his confession was read out in full court, in open court. And while that confession was being read out, we could just hear people, you know, listening and looking at their faces in disbelief, because he talked about how Nosicelo was his girlfriend since 2019. They then decided to move in together. And he then says that she, in August, around about the 8th of August, she decided to go home to her hometown in Matatiele. And when she came back, he said that she was behaving differently. And then when he spoke to her about this, she brushed him off. And then, of course, he gained access to her cell phone. Now, what's interesting here, where he says that she had changed the password on her cell phone. But once she left the bedroom to go into the bathroom, he then gained access to the cell phone, and he managed to, as he said, crack the password. And he noticed that she had deleted messages from her cell phone. But then he went a step further. He then went into her archived messages and found messages where she says, there was a message saying, "I love you and I miss you." And when he confronted her about this, a fight ensued. He then grabbed a knife and stabbed her, and she tried to fight back. And at that point, he then pushed her against the wall. She fell down to the ground, and he noticed that she was foaming from the mouth and stopped breathing. It was at that point when he realized that she was dead. And where it was quite, you know, it was gruesome details that we heard in court about how he then decided to go onto the internet to go and find out how to discard of a dead body. And having had all those details on the internet, he went the next day, he went to a hardware store and bought a hacksaw, and also he bought tape and bought paint and a paintbrush, and came back with all these items, and he then cut up her body. He dismembered her body into several parts. Now, we heard earlier from the doctor that in all his years that he's been practicing, he had never ever seen a body dismembered like this before. But I'm now joined by the National Prosecuting Authority's Ayesha Ngakani. Ayesha, now that Aluta Pasile pleaded guilty, he has been found guilty, what is the way forward now?
Now the state has started with its case in terms of leading evidence for the sentencing proceedings. We have called 2 witnesses today. It was the doctor to give his feedback on the medical report, and also the investigating officer now, who took us through about basically what led them to the accused, and what led them to ultimately arrest the accused, and also to be able to get the confession on from him. But basically, what we can say that he was not under duress. He was not forced to make the confession. He did it on his own free will, and he has taken ownership and has pleaded guilty that indeed he murdered Nosicelo and also attempted to dispose of her body to cover his tracks, because he said that he panicked once he realized that she has lost her life, she's gone. So that was really an attempt to cover his tracks for him not to be apprehended for her death.
Thank you so much for your time. And Thulasizwe, we've also heard that after the lunch break, Nosicelo Mtebeni's father will be called to take the witness stand, and I'm sure that testimony will be very sad.